This is a LEGO engine. So is this. But would you believe these two examples are nearly 50 years apart from each other? The LEGO engine space is a relatively small niche in the LEGO community, and they've been around for quite a while. But what is their history? Who are the main innovators, and what are some of the most important milestones for LEGO engines? Well, today we're going to find out together. So sit down, grab some popcorn, and let's dive into the history of LEGO engines. This video is divided into four main sections. Official engines. These are engines that were featured in officially released sets. Model engines. These are custom-built engines that replicate the look and functions of real-life engines, but are powered by electrical components. Powered engines. These are engines that run using principles of airflow. And the conclusion. Various extras and future developments. The year is 1977, and the LEGO Group is in an interesting position. For the past 2 decades, LEGO had been producing buildable kits containing interlocking plastic bricks, and the modern LEGO minifigure we know today wouldn't be released for another year. In this year, LEGO decided that simple bricks weren't enough for some builders, so they launched a new theme, the Expert Builder Series.
Oh, this is like a real engine!
LEGO technical sets, detailed working models for experienced LEGO builders of 9 and over.
All of these sets have unique and really cool features, but the one we're going to focus on is set number 853 Auto Chassis, retailing for $39.99 in the US, which is around $215 in today's money. This set features tons of functional items, such as working steering, 2-speed transmission, adjustable seats, and what we're all here for, an inline-4 engine. Among the many new parts this theme introduced are these square piston pieces, and these special connectors, both of which appear in this set. By today's standards, this engine is incredibly simple, but it was the first set in LEGO's lineup to feature an engine with moving pistons. With the launch of a new theme, of course, comes uncertainty. When LEGO launched the Expert Builder series, they often included a small postcard that could be filled out. This was the postcard promotion LEGO put on to gauge customers' feelings on the new theme. Those who filled out and mailed in these postcards would receive a thank you gift, one of which was set number 98959 motor. While it's arguably even simpler than the engine before, it still uses the new piston and connector pieces, which puts it as the second engine LEGO made in 1977. Engines like these will be featured in a few other Expert Builder sets throughout the rest of the 1970s, which ushers in the 1980s.
We've just heard that a 300-foot monster is heading for Legoland Town. Over to our correspondent.
Here at police headquarters, work is underway to prevent a disaster.
The Legoland Town theme had just been recently introduced, and more sets were being made to be more compatible with the relatively new minifigure. And of course, the Expert Builder series is still going strong. The year 1980 brings set number 8858 Auto Engines, LEGO's first set dedicated entirely to engines. This was a 4-in-1 set featuring an inline 3, a V6, a boxer 6, and a 2-stroke. It retailed for $69, which is around $270 today. These engines feature some of the more recognizable parts of an engine, with spark plug wires, fans, exhaust pipes, and of course the same moving square pistons. Although not very technically complex, especially compared to more modern engine builds, these engines still hold up as simple yet awesome builds. But 1980 isn't done with engines quite yet, and the LEGO Auto Chassis set gets a revamp. Set number 8860 Car Chassis takes the basis of the original Auto Chassis set of 1977 and adds even more functionality into the build. Retailing for $59, around $230 today, the biggest item to focus on this set is the rear-mounted flat-4 engine, complete with spark plug wires and a belt-powered fan. There's one more set released in 1980 that featured the same style of engine, set number 8857 Motorcycles. Retailing for $49.50, around $195 today, this 3-in-1 set came with a trail bike, a motorcycle with a sidecar, and a 3-wheel chopper, all of which featured a single-cylinder engine. These engines continue to be featured in a few sets throughout the 80s, but soon there will be something else to experiment with: pneumatics. In 1984, LEGO decided the technical Expert Builder series needed a rename, which is where the name Technic came from. Released in 1984 under the new name Technic and retailing for $25, around $80 today, set number 8040 is more like a parts pack than an actual set. It features a few parts in the pneumatic lineup: a pump, a cylinder, and a switch. LEGO pneumatics use the power of pressurized air to make them function, and they add a touch of realism into the models that feature them. Featured on the box are various ideas for builders as what they could potentially create using these new parts. There's what you'd expect from a Technic set of this era: a car, a dump truck with working steering and a dump bed. But what's this? It almost looks like an engine. Keep this set in mind because we'll come back to it in a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about this item on the box. The LEGO engine style remained virtually unchanged for the rest of the decade. But that all changed in 1990 with the release of 5 new parts. Number 2850 cylinder, number 2851 piston, number 2852 connecting rod, number 2853 crankshaft, and number 2854 crankshaft center. These parts brought with them a new era of LEGO engines and sets, offering builders a more realistic alternative to the old square piston designs. 2 of the first sets to feature these brand new parts are sets number 8850 Rally Support Truck and number 8840 Rally Shock and Roll Racer, both retailing for $29.99 or $75 today, and $39.99 or $100 today respectively. The Rally Support Truck featured a V6, and the Shock and Roll Racer featured a rear-mounted V-twin. Moving just 1 year forward to 1991, we see set number 5272 cylinder motor. Retailing for just $2.99 or around $7 today, cylinder motor was part of the LEGO service packs lineup. Beginning in the late 1970s, service packs were a way for builders to get extra or replacement parts for various themes, many of which were for the expert builder and Technic themes. Cylinder motor featured only the absolute necessary parts to build a 2-cylinder engine. LEGO engine designs remained this way up until the year 2000. All the other parts remained, but there was a new addition to make engines even easier to build. Part number 28840 V-block connector. This new piece made V engines much easier to build, and they quickly found their way into many sets. Here's where 2003 comes in with set number 10077 motor, retailing for $12.99 or around $23 today. This set was part of the bulk bricks theme, which was almost like the service packs theme from a few years prior. Bulk bricks was just that, a way for builders to get large amounts of parts without having to get entire sets, like Bricklink or Brickowl before they were widely used. This set came with everything you need to build a V8, which technically makes this LEGO's second and so far last set dedicated entirely to engines. Just a side note here, I didn't count cylinder motor as one of these sets because it only featured just a couple different parts and didn't actually include everything you needed to build it like this one. Since 2003, LEGO engines, more specifically LEGO Technic engines, have since been featured in over 100 different sets, making them a staple of LEGO Technic sets. This of course doesn't count the numerous smaller scale engines found in much smaller Technic sets, like number 42217 Corvette Stingray and number 42204 Fast and Furious Toyota Supra Mark IV. These engines often use short axles or half pins to simulate the pistons, and generally they aren't very detailed. 2019 has a notable set with an unconventional engine in it. That's set number 10269 Harley-Davidson Fatboy with a brick-built V-twin engine, making it the first brick-built engine in a set since the late 1980s. Retailing for $99.99 or around $130 today, this set uses a chain to connect the rear wheel to the engine's crankshaft, which, in turn, moves the pistons up and down. It's fairly simple, but it adds a nice touch to an already great-looking set. In 2024, LEGO debuted a new crankpiece, number 4368 Crank Disc, into its part lineup, first appearing in set number 42170 Kawasaki Ninja H2R. This Technic motorcycle featured this new piece, along with new followers, part number 4369 Piston, in its transversely mounted inline-4 engine. These 2 parts have been featured in 15 sets as of the making of this video. Most recently, LEGO introduced 2 new parts that are compatible with the Technic engine system released in 1990. Parts 6608 Cylinder Smooth and 6614 Modified Trapezoid Lift Arm were both used in 2025's Ferrari SF24 and the Oracle Red Bull Racing RB20 F1 cars, constructing their V6 engines. The main difference in the cylinder parts is the lack of the studs on the top, and for the new lift arm it's also the lack of studs, both on the top and the bottom. There's also axle holes on the ends as opposed to the regular pin connectors of the regular V-block connector. My guess is these new parts were made to fit in with the Technic system, which has a more studless and streamlined building style. That's as far as LEGO's engines have gone, at least as far as the making of this video, but there's a whole other side we haven't looked at yet: custom engines. LEGO fans have been building custom creations, which are commonly called MOCs, which stands for My Own Creation, as long as LEGO has been alive. Builders have been capturing detailed engine models through LEGO for many years. The first recorded LEGO model engine, that is, an engine built to recreate the look of a real-life engine, was built in 2007, when a user named Barman76 built a motorized 32-valve V8 engine out of Technic parts. The engine was powered by the older 9-volt Technic motor system, and includes the optical fiber wires from the early 2000s on the distributor, lighting up in the correct firing order. It was among the first viral YouTube videos, quickly amassing over 300,000 views. The video now sits at nearly 2 million views and has been shared across multiple platforms. Moving just a few years ahead to late 2008 and early 2009, YouTuber Lego Maniac Man begins uploading videos of various model engines powered by the 1990s motor system, and the power function system released in 2006. Lego Maniac Man's first engine video, published in December 2008, is of a mini turbo diesel engine with a 3-speed transmission, powered by a buggy motor and a train speed regulator from the late 90s. His engines that would come later include V8s, diesel inline 4s, generators, and a flathead V8, all with great detail for the time. In 2012, Lego Maniac Man uploaded the first known engine to LEGO Ideas, the community-based set submission site. Users can submit LEGO projects for community voting, and if the project gains 10,000 votes within the set timeline, LEGO will consider making it an official set. Since its global introduction in 2011, only 84 projects have been approved and produced for this program. For context, LEGO released over 10,000 sets in the same time period, which just shows how picky they are with their approval process. This engine, his diesel inline 6, unfortunately didn't meet the vote requirements to get to the approval stage. 2012 is also the year that Cohen Voss began work on his massive Titanic triple expansion steam engine project. This giant engine model features an impressive amount of detail and is completely motorized, requiring multiple power functions battery boxes and switches to power everything from the startup engines to the watertight doors that mimic the interior walls of the ship. Although the last video published to his YouTube channel was in May 2024 and the Facebook page has been taken down, the project is reportedly still in the works, expected to have close to, if not more than 70,000 LEGO parts. 2012 had another special engine built, this time a jet engine.
Here at Rolls-Royce in Derby, they know all about engineering excellence, but their latest creation is simply child's play. It's a replica of the company's Trent 1000 aero engine that's been built entirely from Lego.
Over the course of 8 weeks, Ed Diamond and the Bright Bricks team built a half-scale replica of the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 turbojet engine. This massive 150,000-piece model captures all the detail of the real-life counterpart, and it's an impressive feat of LEGO engineering. The model was displayed at a LEGO show in Swindon, Wiltshire, England in 2013, and it now sits in the Rolls-Royce headquarters in London. Another notable LEGO Ideas entry was in 2015, when user Empress Wonderful Bean uploaded a cutaway inline 4 engine. Also in 2015, they uploaded 2 other engine models, a steam engine and a jet engine, both built in much the same cutaway style as the inline 4. LEGO Maniac Man strikes again in 2015 as well, with his minifigure scale marine diesel 2-stroke engine. Unfortunately, none of these entries reached the 10,000 vote threshold. Moving a year ahead to 2016, Promo Bricks reveals a giant LEGO working model of the fake Technic engine parts, upscaled to a massive size. The model was displayed at a Galeria Kaufhof shopping center in Oberhausen, Germany. Replica Motorsport began building highly detailed miniature model LEGO engines in 2017, soon selling them on their online store. Unfortunately, the website has gone offline for unknown reasons, and their Instagram hasn't had any activity since November 2024. Just a few years later in 2019, user Hack Battleson uploaded what could be considered at the time to be the largest and most detailed engine to LEGO Ideas, an inline 6. The engine, with over 3,000 parts, features multiple removable parts like the valve cover and oil pan, and featured many mechanically interesting components too. 6x6 round pistons using 4x4 macaroni bricks, a camshaft with a connected distributor, along with valves and simulated valve springs. Also, there's a very good chance this is among the very first large-scale engines with round pistons. However, this hasn't been properly verified, but through all the research done for this video, this is the earliest engine I found that includes 6x6 round pistons, or anything larger for that matter. Though that doesn't mean it wasn't possible, which I'll touch on a little bit later. Unfortunately, this LEGO Ideas page has since been removed, and Hack Battleson's account has been deleted, which made finding more info on this engine much more difficult, but not impossible, especially with the help of archive.org's Wayback Machine. Also in 2019, YouTuber Joe Marashek uploaded a short video of a vintage LEGO race car model, with a detailed inline-4 engine and multiple other engines following. One of these engines, his modular V4, was uploaded to LEGO Ideas in 2020, though it never reached the vote goals. Ah yes, 2020, the year of lots of free time. And what did the model LEGO engine community get? A rotary Wankel engine built by Akiyuki Brick Channel. This model captures the odd and quite mesmerizing movement of a rotary engine's rotor, and even includes a light brick for simulated combustion. It was also uploaded to LEGO Ideas, but it never reached the vote goals and the page has been removed. In 2021, a really cool display build was uploaded to LEGO Ideas, an upscaled Technic engine. User Rex Bald Linux used 4x4 macaroni bricks to get a round cylinder bore, and used an array of curved plates and other parts to achieve a very cool looking model. Once again, this project never reached the vote goal. Also in 2021, Manly Miniatures began building and selling scale models of engines, much like Replica Motorsport. Also like Replica Motorsport, their website is offline and their Instagram page hasn't had any activity since December of 2024. 2021 also saw the rise of Australian builder Ron 2's with his Technic engines. These engines are built with wireframe-like parts, making basically every part of an engine that would not normally be visible. It turns out when you can see every moving part of an engine, it really helps your understanding of it, which not only makes these great display pieces, but also great learning tools. Unlike basically all of these other engine models, Ronald's designs are available for sale from multiple online web stores. I've been able to put quite a few of them together from Engine DIY Shop, and I really do like them. This next one is one of the larger engines we've seen. Built over the course of 2020 and 2021, this life-size Chevy 454 V8 engine, built by Technically Evan, features moving pistons, a camshaft, push rods, and rockers. It even has a fully working transmission. It was built using the late 70s and early 80s expert builder parts, and is controlled by a pre-Mindstorm system called Interface A, and a Laser 128 computer, which is an Apple II clone from the 80s programmed in BASIC. Evan's engine has won multiple awards at shows like Brickworld Chicago, and has been featured on various car-related news websites like The Drive and Haggerty. Now we come to 2022, which is the year I started uploading videos to YouTube. Wow, how narcissistic of me, I know. I first uploaded this, a fully motorized hit-and-miss engine with a freewheel system, which, as far as I know, is the first LEGO engine of its type. Engines made an appearance every now and then, but I really started getting into them in late 2023, and I've been going at it since then, even incorporating the 6x6 round piston design into a lot of my builds. My most recent model, my Honda B16, built in early 2025, is possibly one of the most accurately detailed model LEGO engines, and features nearly every part of a real engine, all of which are removable and bolted in place with Technic axles. Enough about me, let's keep moving. The next model engine was built in 2024 by a group of 18 General Electric aerospace engineers. You heard that right, aerospace engineers. What did they build? Well, a giant model of the CFM Rise open fan jet engine, of course. Headed by Polish engineer Michał Janczyk, the 19,000-piece project was for the Revolutionary Innovation for Sustainable Engines program, or RISE, a 50-50 joint company between GE Aerospace and Safran Aircraft Engines. So far we've seen non-functional LEGO engines, but the functional engine side, the side where builders have built engines that actually run, is far more extensive. But before we get to the history of those, we need to understand the different types of engines and their power sources. Well, I say power sources plural, but it's really just a variation of one source, air. Builders have used two variations to power their engines: compressed air, which are called pneumatic engines, and the suction of a vacuum, which are called vacuum engines. To look at one of, possibly the first powered LEGO engine, we need to go all the way back to 1984. Remember that one Technic set, number 8040? Well, turns out that engine that was featured on the box was actually tested by Dr. Chiu Xiong So of Singapore, and another person, only referred to as PK on Dr. So's website. That website is now completely gone, and it took quite a while of sifting through old links using the Wayback Machine to come across this. So why is this important? Well, these tests proved that air-powered LEGO engines not only were possible to build at least since the set's release, but that the first known documented air-powered engine wasn't built by a fan, but by LEGO themselves, and featured on official LEGO packaging. It's kind of a big discovery, one that hasn't been seen since Dr. So's website was taken down. So if anyone watching has this kit or the parts that came in it, it might be worth a shot to test it out for yourself. In 1985, Canadian woodworking YouTuber and inventor Matthias Wandel claims to have built a LEGO air-powered engine. There's no original photos or videos of this engine, but he recreated it for a video on his YouTube channel in 2009, powering it by a wooden turbine. If his claims are true, then this makes him the first documented builder of a fan-built air-powered LEGO engine. 1986 brings the first fully documented air engine built by Dan Hartman. This engine, more specifically, is an oscillating engine, which uses the tilting of the cylinder to act as a valve, opening and blocking ports for air. The only evidence of this engine is one photograph taken on a 110 point-and-shoot film camera, with the photo paper dating the picture to June 1986, when Dan was around 14 years old. He did, however, rebuild the engine in 2008 and got much better pictures of it. This was all happening in a very different era. LEGO parts were simpler, more expensive, and the internet was in its very early stages. Very few people, if any, knew the potential that LEGO engines had, and with the rudimentary systems, sharing them with people online wasn't easy. This is probably why from 1986 to the mid to early 1990s that no known LEGO engines were built or documented. That is, until Erin Lassley and his brother Kevin began building engines, starting in winter 1993 and spanning well into the 2000s. Their first engine is different from the other ones we saw in a few different ways. For one, it uses cams to actuate the valves, rather than a crank-style system like Matthias's engine or the oscillating of the cylinder like Dan's. It also uses two valves, one for letting fresh air in, and one to let in the pressurized air, where Matthias's engine only used one. Even though Erin ran this engine using positive pressure, he is the earliest to document using a vacuum cleaner suction to power a LEGO engine, the most popular power method of LEGO engines today. Through his documentation on his website, he discovered that LEGO engines like his run best with high-volume, low-pressure airflow, which a vacuum cleaner, especially a shop vac, can easily provide. Since there's no original video for the first two engines, it can't be said for certain whether they were ever tested on negative pressure, but Erin's videos and his website certainly make Erin and Kevin the first to fully document a vacuum-powered LEGO engine. Again, this was in a time where the internet was in its infancy, and the vast majority of online sharing sites and forums are now lost to time, possibly taking with them more documentation of LEGO engines. One such example would be Dan Hartman's turbine engine from the mid-1990s. I was told by Erin Lassley that Dan built a turbine, possibly one of, if not the first, and had shown it to him on a very early version of a forum. According to Erin, it used one of the jet turbine parts as a nozzle pointed at a tire. When air is blown through, the tire spins. Apparently, Dan incorporated the design into a few cars, sharing videos of them through these rudimentary websites. No evidence of this turbine exists today other than the personal accounts from Erin, but it's the earliest mention of a turbine I've come across. The late 90s rolled around and we got a very interesting engine with it. Built by Norwegian professor Dr. Arne Rikvold, this pneumatic engine was thought by basically the entire community to be the first LEGO pneumatic engine, at least until Dr. So's website was found. The engine was built using parts from set number 8250 Search Submarine, and uses a walking beam style engine layout, with the pneumatic cylinder on one end and the crankshaft on the other. I was fortunate enough to contact Dr. Rikvold via email, and he was more than happy to provide more details about this engine, which is where almost all of this information came from. He also provided an old video of the engine running, which was presumed to be completely lost. There's even a few of his lecture videos in which he shows off the engine to a classroom, and, as he should be, seems incredibly proud of his creation.
I'm going to talk about hysteresis, and so I thought I'd have to put in a little cyclic thing. So this is my yellow compressed air engine that I made a few years ago out of, it's all standard LEGO parts. It's a design that's sort of roughly equivalent to a late 18th century, early 19th century steam engine with a walking beam.
While it may not be the first LEGO pneumatic engine, it is the first known one to be filmed on video. There's another thing I want to mention about LEGO engines. Most of them can be placed into two categories, each based on their source of power: pneumatic, or compressed air, and vacuum. Over time, the community has taken to abbreviating these two terms to make things a little bit easier. LEGO pneumatic engines became known as LPEs, and LEGO vacuum engines became known as LVEs. These shortened versions will appear throughout the rest of this video for simplicity. The 1990s came to an end, and in comes the new millennium, though the next engine would come a few years later, in 2004. And it's a turbine-powered car built by user Furby47905, also known simply as Brian. This car connected directly to an air compressor, and used older Technic gears as the rotor. The turbine showed decent power in a few videos, which can be found on Erin Lassley's website. The 2000s didn't really have much LEGO engine activity, at least activity that was documented online. But with the launch of a newfangled video sharing platform that you might have heard of, YouTube, in 2005, LEGO engines slowly gained more traction with new and old LEGO fans. On the LPE side, YouTubers such as Green Gecko Workshop, Nick Jasno, Nico71, and Lomtafix popularized these engines, and in the case of Green Gecko Workshop a few years later, provide builders with modified parts for higher RPMs. On the LVE side, however, things were still relatively sparse, but more will be coming in a few years. In 2008, Dan Hartman made another appearance with the LEGO turbine that powers an LED light. It used the same parts that he reportedly used in the 90s, with the jet piece to direct air onto a wheel. Also in 2008, Stephen Harrod built a walking beam engine powered by an air mattress inflator. Moving to 2009, Nico71, a well-known LPE YouTuber, uploads the first set of instructions to the website Rebrickable, a website where builders can find and submit custom instructions and alternate builds for sets. This is the first known time instructions for a LEGO engine were made available to the wide public. The early 2010s saw a significant rise in videos of LVEs on YouTube, with users such as Boxer Lego, Chris Laldoff, Toecutter GPX, Mechanics Nut, Paul Krieg, Hayden Spinney, and much more. In 2010, Mechanics Nut built the first known LEGO engine to use a Scotch yoke crankshaft design. A Scotch yoke is a power transmission method that is very rare in real-life engines, save for a few prototypes and small, low RPM engines. The advantages of a Scotch yoke over a traditional crankshaft and connecting rod is the Scotch yoke eliminates the angle connecting rod, which reduces friction and wear on the cylinder walls. It also creates what is called sinusoidal motion, which creates a perfect harmonic motion of the pistons on multi-cylinder engines, increasing efficiency. The downsides of a Scotch yoke mechanism are increased wear on the crankshaft, lower RPMs due to rapid acceleration and deceleration of parts, and limited stroke length. Regardless, it's a really interesting design and concept, and it's more commonly found on LPEs due to its compactness. Also in 2010, YouTuber Lomtafix built an LVE, but it uses a special piece. This engine design uses what's called an SVS valve system. SVS notoriously has been interpreted a few different ways, but the one that makes the most sense to me is slide valve system. In an SVS engine, the valve sits on the side of the engine, sliding up and down, connected to a shorter crank set 90 degrees off from the main crank. As it moves up and down, it blocks and opens a port on the side, letting the vacuum in. What Lomtafix did is add a 1x4 panel piece to the top of the valve. This might not sound interesting, but it actually helps a lot. See, when the valve is all the way down, the vacuum is getting blocked, and the piston is falling. But since the stroke before had the vacuum suck all of the air out of the cylinder, now the piston is falling, increasing the volume of the cylinder and creating a low pressure zone within. Basically, the piston wants to draw fresh air in, but it can't. This can lead to low RPMs and reduced engine efficiency. But with this panel, it allows for the port to open up to the outside air while still blocking the vacuum, letting the piston pull in more air. This is the first known time this design was used, and it's still widely used to this day. Again in 2010, Hayden Spinney built the first known 4-stroke LVE. Normal LVEs run using only 2 strokes, intake, which lets fresh air in, and vacuum, which pulls air out. 4-stroke LVEs are less common and often worse running, but still possible. Lastly, in 2010, Hayden Spinney also built the first known butterfly LVE. Butterfly LVEs are a very strange contraption. Instead of having regular valves like that of an SVS engine, it uses the piston as the valve. The way it does this is through the piston tilting inside the cylinder. The tilting motion breaks the seal along the cylinder, allowing the piston to fall back to bottom dead center, all while the vacuum is continuously flowing through the cylinder. Because it has a fixed connecting rod, once it reaches bottom dead center, the piston tilts back, resealing along the cylinder walls and rising, before tilting again at top dead center and repeating. Moving to 2012, Paul Krieg builds a running Walschaerts valve gear powered by a vacuum, complete with a fully working reverser system. Here's where the big item of 2012 comes in. Boxer Lego performs a power pull with a V8 LVE. Power pulls are a method of determining how much power an engine can create by lifting weights into the air, and documenting the time it takes to travel a set distance. Through a relatively simple mathematical formula, the power generated in watts can be found. In Boxer Lego's case, the V8 lifted 7.5 pounds, roughly 2 feet in the air, in around 50 seconds. Putting that into this formula, it comes out to around 0.41 watts of power, or 0.0005 horsepower. By the way, if you're doing your own power measurements, you might want to check out a new tool that's on my website that does all the math for you. I've partnered with Engineer and Bethesda to implement their tools into a page for calculating both engine power and displacement, and you can check it out by going to bluebrickmox.com/engine calculators, or via the link in the description. We'll see a few more power pulls like this throughout the rest of the video. Now we come to 2014, and Raul Oida builds a massive radial LPE. Joining with Steve Sammartino, they put together what is called the Super Awesome Micro Project, an almost entirely Lego life-size car, powered by 4 of these radial engines. It was built using over 500,000 parts, and had a top speed of around 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, or around 12 to 18 miles an hour. According to Steve's YouTube video description, they drove it slowly as they were afraid of a giant Lego explosion. I mean, makes sense. In 2016, user JJ2 uploaded the first instruction set for a Lego vacuum engine onto Rebrickable, a full 7 years after Nico 71's LPE instructions. 2017 saw yet another engine submitted to Lego Ideas, though this time it's a vacuum engine. Built by Mr. Kleinstein, it's a model of Watt's steam engine, a walking beam engine from the late 1700s, first built by James Watt. The engine, built with 669 parts, features a fully working Watt's parallelogram linkage, sun and planet gears, and a working valve mechanism. It also features non-functional details like a speed governor and air and feed water pumps. He also posted a video of this engine in detail on his YouTube channel. Another big engine item in 2017 was built by another YouTuber, Lego Technic Embodiment. Using the fake Technic engine parts, they managed to build a running LPE, the first of its kind. The first versions use a couple of modified parts: the switch, the head where air is let in, and the piston, which had the top cut out to fit a rubber O-ring for sealing. Later versions had holes drilled into the cylinders. These engines are now known as LPFEs, or Lego Pneumatic Fake Engines. In late 2018, YouTuber Engineer uploaded a video of the first known overhead valve, or OHV, Poppet LVE. Overhead valve LVEs have been built before, but they all use versions of an SVS system, whereas this one uses 3x3 Technic discs as poppet valves, mimicking real-life engines, though it also included SVS-style valves on the side as intakes. The video was posted on his personal account in 2020, and has since been set as unlisted. Another builder, The Specialist, made an OHV very similar, and posted a video of it in 2019, before Engineer posted his video, but after Engineer designed the engine itself. It was around the same time in 2019 that Engineer began experiments with larger scale LVEs, some with previously untested 8x8 round piston designs. The late 2010s and early 2020s also saw the rise of many well-known LEGO engine content creators, like KF Plus LEGO Mastery, CRS, and Ice Young. "2020 rolls around, and with the extra free time brought on by the pandemic, more and more people jump on the LEGO engine bandwagon. Apart from mostly everyone else building SVS engines, there's a few that stand out. YouTuber BigZ18 builds an overhead valve poppet LVE, and LEGO Technic Embodiment builds a switchless LPFE with a ball valve. Later in 2020, LEGO Technic Embodiment built an LPFE using a Schrader valve from a tire. It's one of the first to use this type of valve, possibly the very first. It operates by the piston pushing up on the valve, which lets the compressed air flow in, pushing the piston back down. This design of engine requires heavy part modification, but it's capable of very high RPM. YouTuber Shapak's Garage performed a power pull in 2020. Using a turbine, it managed to lift a 5-pound or around 2 kilogram weight roughly 2 feet or 60 centimeters in the air in 5 seconds. Generating 2.71 watts of power, or around 0.0037 horsepower, smashing Boxer Lego's 0.41 watt record from 2012. He also built a concept quad-acting engine that used both vacuum and compressed air working at the same time. Power pulls with that engine either ended in spectacular explosions or pretty low power readings. I estimated the power of one of these pulls to be about 0.28 watts, or 0.00038 horsepower. 2021 also saw a lot of new LEGO engine developments. Shapak is back with the first known flathead poppet engine, using 2x2 tiles as valves. YouTuber Martin Roberts begins building and uploading videos of large-scale replica steam engines, all vacuum-powered and highly detailed. Some of his engines include Watt's steam engine, Trencherfield mill steam engine, and the Murdoch Bell crank steam engine. Engineer uploads the first true overhead cam valve train on an LVE. His engine was a single overhead cam engine with 2 poppet valves, one for intake and one for vacuum. Although the specialist claimed to have done a true overhead cam system before, but there's no photo or video proof. Possibly the biggest LEGO engine innovation of 2021? A brand new LVE concept, the head valve engine. Originally built and designed from scratch by LEGO engine builder Xmysef, it works by having the piston hit a valve at the top to let air in. Because there's lower pressure in the crankcase, which is where the vacuum is, the atmospheric air coming in through the valve has a higher pressure, forcing the piston down. Then, when the piston reaches bottom dead center, it exhausts the air into the crankcase and repeats the cycle. These engines are capable of very high RPM with low mechanical complexity, and can be built with a tilting or straight piston setup. Moving to 2022, YouTuber Red Shoebox builds the first known air-powered LEGO Wankel rotary engine. Based on the model version built by Akiyuki Brick Channel, the air-powered version required many modified parts to get the correct rotation of the rotor. Popular LEGO YouTuber Brick Technology released a video featuring many different types of LPEs. The video has reached an insane 18 million views since its release, further popularizing LPEs. In 2023, TikToker Will03 began building large-scale LEGO vacuum engines, with multiple videos gaining millions of views. Some of these engines included the relatively untested, and at the time unsuccessful, 8x8 round pistons. YouTuber Vito48 performed a power pull with a 2-cylinder double-acting engine that generated 3.2 watts of power, or 0.004 horsepower. Another YouTuber, Sean Shaft Games 43, built an LPFE with some of the smallest valves, later building them into a high RPM V8. Early in 2024, Engineer built an 8x8 round piston vacuum engine, nicknamed the Test Mule, and featured it in a YouTube video. The engine, however, included a 3D printed cylinder sleeve, making it not fully LEGO. Another YouTuber, TwistedEngineering, made the first known LVE to include a working VTEC or variable valve lift system, using 2 different cam lobes and a manually operated engagement pin to activate the system. He made an updated version about a month later. Popular content creator CRS builds the first known LVE to include Ducati's desmodromic valve system. The desmodromic system is one that doesn't require valve springs. Instead, the specially shaped camshaft both opens and closes the valve, using a special lifter. Its main advantage is the mechanical system can eliminate valve float at high RPMs, where the valve springs can't keep up with the speed of the camshaft, essentially closing slower than the engine needs, which in extreme cases can lead to the piston hitting the valve, which can cause catastrophic engine failure. This system is most famously used in the Ducati Panigale V4 engine, with other engines like the modified DB601 from the Mercedes-Benz W196R and the inline-6 engine in the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR. This vacuum engine was a butterfly engine with a single poppet valve. YouTuber and TikToker Brick Berserk uploaded multiple videos of a large-scale V8 vacuum engine. Late in 2024, Will 03 and his brother Gabe built the first fully LEGO 8x8 round piston LVE, completing multiple successful runs. Since then, they've been working on larger engines with more cylinders, attempting to get them to run as well. 2025 saw a lot happen for LEGO engines. Starting off, Engineer builds the first known 4x4 round piston engine using the relatively new and quite expensive 3x3 macaroni bricks. Narcissus time again, I built an SVS engine that used 0 Technic parts. User The Stig built the first known completely unmodified LPFE. It doesn't even use O-rings to seal the piston. TikToker Bowen's Garage built a single-cylinder LVE that uses a reed valve, essentially making the most realistically operating two-stroke LVE. Another TikToker and YouTuber, Great Golly, built a more refined Desmodromic LVE. Making it different from CRS's engine, this one uses a 6x6 straight piston with 2 valves, one for intake and one for vacuum. TikToker Digital Dan began working on a 10x10 inline 4 engine, using 4x4 quarter circle plates with 2x4 plates in between as the piston, making it somewhat round, and one of the largest designs. Although originally designed as a display model, it's very possible it will run on vacuum, but the engine is still a work in progress. User Dividing performs a power pull with an inline 3 poppet butterfly engine with glued pistons. The pull was verified by a simple dyno setup using a clutch and a scale to measure the force applied, which ended up being 7.5 watts, or 0.01 horsepower. Another YouTuber, Vacuum Powered, also did power measurements on a poppet butterfly, but this time an inline 4, the results of which peaked at 19 watts, or 0.025 horsepower, shattering all previous power records. The evidence of this run was discussed in a Discord server and was never made fully public. One record I haven't really touched on is turbine RPM records, and here's why. 1. Breaking the record isn't really that difficult if you think about it. The smaller the turbine's blades, the faster the shaft will spin. That's because of the conservation of angular momentum. Smaller objects tend to have a lower moment of inertia, which means it takes less energy to spin something smaller the same speed as something larger. All this is from Newton's second law of rotation. The second reason is the methods used to measure these RPMs can be highly inaccurate. Laser tachometers are somewhat accurate, but they still can be off a little bit, especially at these higher RPMs. Other methods like gear reductions can lower maximum RPMs due to friction within the system, which makes the reading much lower than it actually is. For these reasons, I chose not to go in depth on any of these records, but here are some of the highest reported turbine RPM records in recent years. 12,041 RPM, January 2024 by YouTuber Lucas Dynamics. 14,000 RPM, February 2024 by YouTuber Owen's Brick Test. 17,000 RPM, September 2024 by YouTuber Brickliest. 17,545 RPM, October 2024 by Owen's Brick Test. And the highest so far, at an impossible sounding 43,000 RPM, June 2024 by YouTuber Just Wayne. Another record I didn't really mention are piston engine RPM records, and mostly for the same reasons. Many people have achieved pretty high RPM piston engines, but the highest I've seen so far was in October 2025 by YouTuber and TikToker JB Lego. This engine, with a butterfly piston and an extremely short stroke, managed 8,160 RPM, verified by audio frequency. To measure RPM in this way, all you need is a video recording, find the closest frequency that matches the engine, and multiply by 60 to get the engine RPM. Lego bricks are plastic, and plastic generally doesn't like heat. That's pretty simple. So of course, using traditional fuels, like for example gasoline, probably wouldn't turn out very well, though that hasn't stopped some people from trying. The first known instance of someone attempting a Lego internal combustion engine was in late 2008, when YouTuber Rory Mangles built one, claiming it ran on combustion. However, this claim can't be verified because the single video featuring this engine is a slideshow of photos and has no video or audio recordings. The next documented attempt came a full 10 years later in 2018, when YouTuber Madbrick attempted a 2-stroke Lego internal combustion engine. Over the course of 4 videos, multiple attempts and modifications were made to try and get the engine running under its own power, though it never did. YouTuber Alan Betts also attempted a 2-stroke in 2019. From videos spanning 3 years, it seems the project was never fully successful and was abandoned. 2024 saw a YouTuber Custom Project attempt an internal combustion engine. It managed some combustion, but not enough to continue running. Also in 2024, YouTuber TwistedEngineering posted updates in a Discord server of a 3D printed / Lego hybrid engine using the fake cylinder and piston Technic parts. It achieved very good compression and some combustion, but never enough to sustain running. In 2025, a builder from Brazil named Luis posted images on the Lego Engines and Cars subreddit of combustion inside a Lego engine, excitedly describing successfully repeated tests without any melting. After an investigation by engineer, it was revealed that Luis was using ethanol in a 4-stroke cycle with a very fuel-heavy rich ratio. Through this, the fuel was sucking the heat out of the exhaust gases and preventing the plastic parts from melting, similar to how a top fuel dragster uses its fuel to cool itself. Though this engine hasn't produced enough power to run on its own, it seems the temperature issues have been mostly solved, and unlike most of these other examples, Luis is still actively working on getting the engine to run. In the early days of LEGO engines, the internet was in its infancy and sharing creations was difficult and time-consuming. As the years went by, file sharing became faster and easier, but there still wasn't a dedicated place to share LEGO engines. Often LEGO Facebook groups or subreddits were the place to go, but in 2020, one of the largest dedicated LEGO engine groups was founded, in the form of a Discord server, the Technic Builds and LEGO Engine server, also known as the TBLE. Founded by YouTuber and engine builder LS1's Garage, the TBLE server has amassed over 1,300 members and is constantly growing. Another aspect of the LEGO engine space is the lack of appearances at LEGO conventions. Of course, some have attended various shows, like technically Evan with his Chevy 454, but a collective group hadn't attended one together. That was until October 2024 with Bricksboro and Greensboro, North Carolina. 5 LEGO engine builders, myself included, displayed creations at the show, marking the first officially organized display of LEGO engines at a convention. October 2025 marked the second year of LEGO engines appearing at Bricksboro. Now, we've covered quite a lot of LEGO engines spanning multiple decades, but how long has it been possible to build a functioning LEGO engine, or at the very least, a moving model of one? Through a little bit of research, I believe they've been possible, although simple and very rudimentary, since 1955. That's the year the 1x1 round brick, part number 3062, was introduced. This part could have allowed for builders to make working camshafts, connected rods, piston wrist pins, and crankshafts. Though it may have been possible in theory to make a powered engine with these parts, in practice I believe it would have only been really used for model engines. 8x8 round piston engines have been theoretically possible since 2001, which is when the 4x4 quarter circle plate, part number 30565, was introduced, parts that would have made an 8x8 piston first possible. The arches required to build the cylinder, part numbers 30099 and 2339, were released in 1991 and 1986 respectively. 6x6 round piston engines have been possible since 2013, when part number 11213, the 6x6 round plate commonly used in pistons, was released. The 4x4 macaroni bricks used as cylinder walls, part number 48092, have been around since 2004. Since all of these have been possible for quite a while now, there's a very good chance that someone else was the first to do it, but they just didn't document it. If you're one of those people or you know someone, leave a comment down below. LEGO engines really have come a long way since their introduction in 1977. So what's next? What's the future of LEGO engines? Well, I believe there's 3 main things. Number 1, larger engines. I think engine sizes will only increase from here on out. Now that 8x8 engines have been proven possible and mostly figured out, I believe they'll gain more popularity with people as time goes on. There's also been some work on potentially larger bore sizes, though that area is still relatively unknown. Number 2, more detail. I think with the increase in size will also come an increase in detail and realism. Adjustable lash-on rockers, fully contained bearings, variable valve timing, and full engine oil systems are all real-world functions that have been included in LEGO engines, and there's still so much more to add. Finally, number 3, power measurement. I think in the future there's going to be 2 sides of LEGO engines, at least powered engines. One for maximum detail and realism, and one for maximum performance and power. I think we'll see more and more power records be set and broken as engines approach and possibly exceed the 100 watt mark. I think we'll also see higher revving, higher powered engines appear as new developments in building techniques, new engine designs, and new parts are released. No one knows what the future holds, but one thing's for certain, LEGO engines aren't stopping anytime soon. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you learned something along the way. This video has been in the works for months now, and I want to give a huge thanks to all these folks who helped compile all of this information and get it put into a script. If you're interested, I'll have a link to all the videos and websites that are still up down in the description, as well as all the channels and accounts that were mentioned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.